Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to another weather update here by Adrian Weather Forecast. This is another severe weather advisory update here on the potential for maybe our first June outbreak. On the day 2, we already have an enhanced risk, and it's very likely we can possibly have a moderate risk for part of the north central plains here for tomorrow. So we're going to be looking at the worst of the bands here. We're going to be seeing potentially where we can have tornadoes if we do, and also seeing the impacts of these major bands. We can possibly have the red shows, QLCSs, all of that in play for tomorrow. Extreme hail, damaging winds, and more. Also, if you're new to the channel, please smash that subscribe button to show all your awesome support, and also be sure to hit that big like button if you enjoyed this video or this helped you out for preparing for tomorrow's potential outbreak. But without further ado, let's get into the severe weather video. So here we are looking at the National Weather Service, and I'm just going to be going over a couple things in the National Weather Service, just so we can see any active alerts that are pretty major. We do, this is severe weather related. We do have actually some severe thunderstorm watches and warnings across parts of the southern Mississippi River Basin here. That we do have severe thunderstorm warnings across the areas of northern Mississippi. We actually do have a slight risk in effect for some of these areas. We do have possibly a pretty large squall line here in this general vicinity of this lower Mississippi Valley Basin here. We do potentially have a squall line, very large linear bands here that are supercells. Not really indicating any rotation or anything like that. That's exactly why we don't have any tornado watches yet or any tornado warnings. As you see, you can really see some severe weather bands, of course, throughout these general areas or the Memphis area, also including Tupelo and the general areas of the Mississippi Valley here. Of course, we also have these tropical storm watches in effect for parts of these the Gulf Coast as far from Louisiana to Alabama. So we have areas like Mobile, Alabama, I believe. We have Mobile. We have parts not too far from Pensacola. We also have areas such as New Orleans. Also have areas like Huma, New Iberia, and also we have storm surge watches. We can be seeing up to waves up to 9 to 14 feet in the general area because of Cristobal. And also we have our first, I believe, heat advisories for the south central of the year. And we're seeing very warm temperatures across the general areas here. We're going to be seeing some heat advisory. It could be crossing triple digits. We also do have flash flood watches across millions across the Atlantic, as far west as parts of the Four Corner states, all the way to the Atlantic coast, whether it's the Mid-Atlantic or if it's South Beach, all the way up in southern Florida. We also do have severe thunderstorm warnings across parts of the Mid-Atlantic near Virginia, of course, and also we do have flash flood watches across areas like Allentown, as well as areas near Morristown, Reading, all these general areas where we do have a ton of rain moving in because of the severe weather. Let's go ahead and check that out really quickly. So yeah, we are seeing some strong bands that are moving in. I do apologize, someone actually texted me here. Oops, I did not mean to do that. That's what happens when I'm distracted. But here we do have some strong bands, of course, moving across the southeastern part of Pennsylvania. It's going to be heading towards the vicinity of Delaware and parts of New Jersey. Of course, these aren't extremely severe, but I could see some more severe thunderstorm warnings being issued for parts of Pennsylvania any moment here, moving towards Philadelphia, moving towards Trenton, and also moving to areas near generally New Jersey there. Let's go ahead and check out now. Let's go ahead and check out my map here. I actually forgot to go ahead and check out my map. I made a map here of what I think the severe weather, what the day 1 outlook will look like by tomorrow for the severe weather outbreak in the north central plains. Let's go ahead and let me go ahead and show you guys that new map. So this is my map. You guys saw a little glance of the day 2 outlook, which is going to be for tomorrow. Obviously, this is what I think. This is what I think the day 1 outlook will look like for tomorrow's outbreak here. Once we get into tomorrow morning, I think there's a possibility we can possibly have a moderate risk for a part of maybe South Dakota and maybe even the Nebraska border. Wouldn't even doubt if we have this moderate risk being pushed into Nebraska. But obviously, this is not 100% accurate. This is as accurate as I think it'll be. So let's go ahead and start off with the moderate risk. If this actually happens, this would be for parts of central South Dakota and maybe even near the Nebraska border here in that level 4 risk. We can very well have a huge possibility for tornadoes, but our main threat seems to be the hail. We've been seeing possibly 3 to 4 inches diameter, inch-sized hail for parts of the areas for tomorrow. Maybe even larger. Can obviously see also some very strong winds up to 80 plus miles per hour here in some of these strong bands. And that's exactly why we're going to be seeing many severe thunderstorm warnings tomorrow because of the winds and hail. But here we do have this moderate risk will possibly be in the general areas near Mobridge, Mobridge, and Pierre. I believe that he pronounced it near Pierre, Pierre, South Dakota, much of central South Dakota, really, near the general Pierre area, and also Mobridge. This is where I think there's a possibility if we have a moderate. So I'm not saying there's going to be one. This is where I think it'll be though. And then also it's going to be enhanced risk. So enhanced risk is what our highest risk is for so far for the day 2 outlook, but I think we step up to level 4. But where this enhanced risk, I think will be by the beginning of tomorrow, will be for Alliance, Nebraska, parts near Valentine, Nebraska, Dupree, South Dakota, Rapid City, and also parts of Montana, even parts of North Dakota. So if you're in the orange, you definitely want to be on the lookout. We can definitely have some very strong bands. So have a plan in advance before the day before the severe weather outbreak here. You definitely want to be prepared in case we have a tornado here. It is this time of season where we do see our tornadoes starting to ramp up for parts of the northern plains here, as they are in the original tornado alley there. And in the yellow, we have a slight risk. So you still want to be weather aware when you're in a slight risk. It's for portions in the yellow counties. That's for Minot, Bismarck, Williamston, Glasgow, Miles City, Gillette, Cheyenne, Huron, even parts of Watertown and other areas in South Dakota and the general areas out there. And then the dark green, we have a marginal risk. And there's when you can kind of relax. You don't have to really worry about it really much. A lot, but you're still going to be seeing some strong potential for severe weather and a marginal, but those bands don't have a huge potential for tornadoes, hail, and damaging winds, or at the size. So really you have to have a certain size to have a hail and also a certain winds. I believe it has to be more than 45 miles per hour to have some winds, but so you can definitely have maybe 20 miles per hour, maybe pea-sized hail, but you just don't have to be as on the lookout or on your toes as much if you're in a enhanced or moderate risk. Now let's go and check out the models here. So as you see, this is what the day 2 outlook looks like, and this is where we have our enhanced risk. So my map's not extremely different, really. As you see, I think we can obviously have this enhanced risk move a bit more into portions of Montana, a bit more into Wyoming, or actually in Wyoming, and part of more into Nebraska. I think Wyoming definitely will be added into the enhanced risk. But as you see, we do have a very widespread threat for portions of the northern plains and western plains. So here we have the enhanced risk for portions of Nebraska, South Dakota, Montana, and North Dakota. In that orange, that is where we have our highest probability for seeing really, really dangerous severe weather and extreme severe weather. And also in our slight risk, this is where we have our second highest probability there. That's level 2. That's going to be for portions of North Dakotas, Nebraska, Wyoming, and portions of Montana. I think we could definitely have the slight risk move a bit more into even Minnesota. And then we have that marginal risk. So tornado threats only a 5% chance. I would not rule out the possibility of a 10% chance here. We are seeing some favorable conditions for these general areas. And I did see this happening. Just didn't want to post too early about it, but it actually did end up possibly happening here. Obviously, here we have that 5% chance here for tornadoes, which is still a very high probability. That's going to be including portions of South Dakota, North Dakota, and portions of Montana, where we had that 5% chance. We're not rule out the possibility of a 10% chance. Wind threats are also very high at a 30% chance, significant risk here. So we have a significant risk for portions of area. We have a 30% chance for portions of Rapid City, Pierre, Rapid Valley, and Sturgis, South Dakota. These are the general areas where I think we could possibly, if not maybe have an enhanced risk, or if not moderate risk, or maybe moderate risk. And then we have a significant severe risk for portions of Rapid City, Scottsbluff, Rapid Valley, and Sturgis, South Dakota, of course. I think also we have that 30% chance of where we can possibly have maybe that moderate risk for the general area right here. Maybe a moderate right there. So we have we have a very high probability for winds. Really would not rule out the possibility, maybe even a 45% chance. But I think the 30% chance significant risk is good enough. And the hail threat, this is probably will be, if we have a 45% chance, it would probably be because of hail, and it has to be it has to be a 2-inch size hail or larger to actually have or hatch risk there. A 10% chance or greater has to be a 2-inch size hail or larger. And as you see, we have a 30% chance significant risk and 30% chances for Rapid City, Rapid Valley, and Sturgis, South Dakota. So for western South Dakota, that's where we have that enhanced risk as of right now. And then we have that significant severe risk That'll be for portions of Rapid City, Scottsbluff, Spearfish, Rapid Valley, and Sturgis. So that's including parts of Wyoming. That's exactly why, obviously, I think we can have that enhanced risk moving more in Wyoming, more in Montana, even more in Nebraska. So that's what we have right there for tomorrow. Let's go and check out the NAM3KM model here on the tropical tidbits. Here we are going to see some very strong bands developing as we get into tomorrow, June 6th. Very strong bands developing for portions of Wyoming and Colorado. And also here they have the defined low pressure system for portions of South Dakota. It's going to bring some really strong bands. Actually going to bring strong, two strong bands of linear potential supercells. That's going to be for one for South Dakota and one for Nebraska, or two for South Dakota and one for Nebraska. Very powerful bands for the areas near southwestern South Dakota or central South Dakota as well. And this is exactly why I think we definitely have enhancers for these areas. Look at these very strong bands here. It seems like we have a wall cloud formation here. Could definitely have some very high echo tops. Also, you see, you can very well see strong or damaging extreme and damaging hail. Also, some strong gusty winds. Obviously, tornadoes. And then we can have this very strong severe weather kind of fall apart. Maybe some discrete cells are likely for portions of eastern South Dakota, portions of western Minnesota, near Detroit Lakes. That's obviously where I think we have that maybe slight risk getting close there. And that kind of falls apart by June 7th. Let's go and check out the numbers here. Let's go and check the surface-based CAPE values here. CAPE is really the amount of energy with instability, moisture, overday heating. All that is into CAPE. It's a whole lot of things that have to come into play that have a severe weather outbreak or severe weather events where it doesn't kind of fall apart there. So as you see, the higher the CAPE, obviously the better, which obviously the higher the CAPE, the better the chance. But obviously, high CAPE is nothing with high cap. So you have to have low amounts of cap so it doesn't cap out and kind of be a bust where obviously the warm air loft will prevent that those storms to develop and the winter will take over and make those storms fall apart. But if you're low cap or low air warm aloft and you have cooler air in the atmosphere, higher in the atmosphere, that's when you have the severe weather development. So here we have actually some decent numbers for portions of Montana by tomorrow, up to 3,000 joules per kilogram with a marginal tornado probability there. Very decent supercell composite parameter, and a negative 88 on the cap. So that's actually a very good number range for. Obviously, you don't want the cap to be zero. You don't want the cap to be zero, but you don't want to be also past negative 200. So negative 88 is actually a good number, actually. And you're going to be seeing that high CAPE values in a line of where these potential bands will be moving in by tomorrow morning. As we need to move more into tomorrow, we're going to be seeing these higher numbers for portions of South Dakota, 2,700 joules per kilogram there with the marginal tornado probability. Negative 34 for cap. Very, very good numbers of cap. Not too low and not too high. Also some decent numbers for portions of Kansas, Nebraska with some higher numbers there. But as you see, it's not going to be bringing in a huge tornado threat or huge severe weather threat. It's only a 5.1 supercell composite parameter. That's exactly why we don't really have a high probability. Only a general risk there, and a 0 as cap. That's way too low. Actually, I hate when I go back like that. But yeah, decent numbers for portions of South Dakota in there. And as we now get into overnight hours into June 7th, from June 6th to June 7th, up to 3,300 joules per kilogram. And this is where things get very, very interesting. Negative 59 for cap. Perfect number for something to happen. Look at that, 91 degrees. Perfect scenario. We have that. We have very warm air, obviously, that's going to help bring in tornadoes or severe weather, strong severe weather. And look at this, a tornado probability, an 87% chance for significant risk. We are with the hail. We can very well see 4.5 inch sized hail there, 15.3 in the supercell composite parameter. Very good numbers out there for portions of South Dakota. It's exactly where we can possibly have the moderate risk. And then we also have very high numbers for portions of Kansas and Missouri, 5,000 joules per kilogram, but very low cap and very limited energy to actually have these strong bands. And yeah, it's kind of fall apart there. And then we even by later June 7th, we're still going to be seeing it to 2,600 joules per kilogram, marginal tornado threat, negative 92. So cap is getting a bit higher, but we still have an 18 on supercell composite parameter there. So very good numbers here. As we know, the supercell composite parameter or composite parameter, not composite, composite. This is where we see some very good numbers. Anything higher than a 20 is considered a high probability for seeing supercells, which obviously can bring in tornadoes, large hail, and damaging winds. As you see, we have some decent supercell composite numbers here. Anything really below 20, anything between a 10 and a 20 is considered a moderate or a medium risk there. And as you see, we're going to be starting the day with a 13 for portions of Nebraska. As you see, not going to be seeing the tornado threat yet, but we are seeing some low cap, just a severe weather threat, maybe some significant hail, but nothing really much. As we now get into later into tomorrow, look at this. This is possibly one of the highest supercell composite parameters numbers I've seen. We have a 40 on the supercell composite parameter for Montana, a 40, and a 2.6 on the STP, which is a significant tornado parameter. That's the same thing measuring tornado probability, but caps negative 168. That's still not extremely strong cap, but it's getting closer to that area of strong cap. So very decent numbers for Montana. That's pop-up. That's exactly why I think we maybe have the enhanced risk move more into Montana as well. And then as we get more into more into tomorrow in the afternoon hours, here we have these higher numbers for portions of South Dakota. You can see an 18 for South Dakota there, an 18, but caps negative 357. So it's all depending on whether this can be capping out or not, really. So we just have to we just have to watch out there. And then as we now get more into tomorrow, we're gonna have some decent numbers for parts of Nebraska. And look at these numbers now. It's with a 39 superset composite parameter there, and caps negative 100. So that's not too negative 100 is not too bad. And an 8.4 in the STP, a 8.4. That's almost a guaranteed tornado probability and a huge tornado threat. As you see, 78 degrees, decently conditions. They're absolutely crazy for portions of South Dakota. Who knows if they actually add this enhanced risk way higher? Who knows? This is very, very crazy numbers there. And then obviously that kind of dies down as we get to the June 7th. That's when that's when those SCP numbers die down a bit more. But negative 94 is cap, and a 9.7. A 9.7 on the STP. A 9.7, guys. A 9.7. Absolutely crazy. That's why exactly we can have multiple tornadoes tomorrow. Hope you guys did enjoy the video, though. Please do not forget to like and subscribe, and bye, guys.